Welcome. This video is about functions. This is a very simple function. It may look very difficult, but it's actually quite easy. You're finding f7 and this is fx. So you have to kick the x out and replace that with 7. That makes this. It should be very easy if you know some math. Excuse me. It'll make something like this. F7 equals 26. Excuse me, 28 minus 6, which is F7 equals to 22. It's very easy actually. Now I'll show you another example. This you can think of as a grinder. You stuff the first thing in, it gets processed and spits out the final number. It's very easy to understand if you have some math skills. To make your life miserable. So they invented something called a compound function. So it's not make you sad. You have to do this and then be able to solve it so that you can be happy. This is a typical compound function. This we can imagine as a person that is pregnant. The mother is Tx and the baby is Rx. We always execute Rx before Tx, which means that R16 equals to 16 root and add it with 1/16. Add it with 1/16. And then R16 equals to 4 and 1/16. Next, we put 4 and 1/16. 4 and 1/16 we put into the t function. So t 4 and 1/16 equals to 4 and 1/16 square plus, just so you know, x any value equals 1, which makes t for 1/16 equals to here 16.5039063 and more. Or if you want to keep it short, it's just just 1 out of 2 256, which is the answer to this compound function. Now, there's another thing that came up, isn't there? It's called strange mathematical symbols. The concept is so easy that I don't feel really like saying anything. It's just something like x instead of fx. So don't be afraid when you see this. X is perfectly the same as fx. Another way the people who made math make your life miserable is by adding them on a number line. Here I've drawn a number line. It's not the best number line in the world, but it's all we have. Say that I want to graph 3, 3. This is 3 and this is 3. I put it over here. When you graph, you always graph the x and then you write the y. And you put them in parentheses. So what does it have to do with functions? Well, consider this function. Suppose you put in 0. You'll end up with 0, negative 6. So you put 0, negative 6. Right? Right here. And then you put in 1. When you put in 1, you'll end up with 4 minus 6, or negative 2. So 1, negative 2, which is right over here. You can keep on putting stuff in and getting stuff out. But once you have two things, you can graph them. Like so. So this is the main thing about the whole number line thing. You can keep on putting in functions and spitting out other things where you can graph it on the chart. Next we have to look at the domain and range. The domain is a bunch of stuff that the function just could put in. Most basic functions have no domain because they can just use about anything. But some, you can't have anything. You can't have some of them. For example, if you consider this, you can't put anything less than 11 over here because you'll end up with a negative number under the square root. You cannot root that. You'll end up with an I. And down here you can see that it cannot be negative 3, or else it will be 0, leaving the fraction undefined. This is the basic idea of domain. And now range is basically what the function can spit out. For example, fx equals to x squared. So no matter what you put in, the answer will be positive because it will be multiplied by itself. Thus, the range is restricted to all positive numbers. That's Functions 101 for you. Goodbye!